Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Welcome to the Sunday night live stream show. That's right, y'all. It's Sunday and it's time for that live stream show. Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for joining us. Looking forward to a great show tonight. Got lots to talk about and super pumped for yet another fun show. So thanks for being a part of it and thanks for joining us. We are going to talk a little bit about what's going on now, what's biting now, what we're seeing on the water, talk a little bit about the weather and what's coming up. Then we're going to get into your questions. Also, we're going to be giving away $1,500 in free fishing trips. That's right. Every Sunday night we give away $1,500 in free trips. And all you have to do is tune in, join us, watch the show live, and then enjoy. Also, you want to make sure you've commented one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. In order to be eligible to win, you do have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. Then you have to watch the whole show live. At random intervals, we'll do one of those giveaways, and then you'll see a name appear, and that lucky winner has 5 minutes or less to text us their full home address to claim the free trip. That's how you enter. That's how you claim it. That's how it works. Hopefully you're excited for a good time tonight because we're going to be talking all about what's going on, what's coming up, and more. Plus, we're going to be answering your questions live during the show. If you do have a question you want answered live during the show, you do have to text us your question to the phone number on the screen. So make sure you text in if you have a question that you want answered live during the show. So that way we can make sure we get it, because your comments on TikTok, on Instagram, on Trovo, Twitch, on all the different Facebook pages and YouTube channels that we're streaming to, we don't always get to see all the comments. So make sure if you have something that you want to shout out, answer, whatever, make sure you text it in to the phone number on the screen. All right. With that, we want to make sure we start off our show by giving a shout out to our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't stopped by to see our friends at Gator Jim's, you are missing out. They are great people. They have a killer selection, amazing deals. It is a really cool place. So make sure you stop by 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete and tell our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle that Hubbard's Marina sent you. They are the presenting title sponsor of our show, and they make what we do possible, along with viewers like you sending stars and sending gifts on TikTok, and then, of course, our supporters in our supporters group as well. We've had some star senders on Facebook kick us off, so we'll give some shout outs there. We had Lance Hall with a big 1,200 stars, Todd Stutzman, Don Schuett with a big 500, Rick Rogers with a big 1,000. Good to see you and your son today, Rick. And I heard you caught 5 hogfish today on the 10 hour. That's awesome, man. Keith White, Paul Rogers, LaShonda Brown, James McCullum with the big 500, Jeff Reedy with the big 1,200, John Bull, Don Schuett with another big 800, Brian Eakins, Mick Higgins with 500, Don Schuett again with 4, and Angie Darling with a big 500 as well. So appreciate all the star senders out there who help fuel the show and make what we do possible. And then again, of course, our supporters. Remember, you can join us in the supporters group. You get private access to the private group. You get a little bit more connectivity, communication, and behind-the-scenes info. Plus, you get access to our weekly supporters after show. After the main show, we do a little supporters after show. It's a good time, and you don't want to miss out. So it's only $4.99 a month to become a supporter, and it's a great way to stay a little bit more connected to us. Sherry Goff, appreciate those 500 stars. Thank you, Sherry. All right, with that, we want to get rolling here and show you what we're catching. We always like to start off the show by showing you what we're catching now, showing you some photos of this past week. Then we'll get into the weather a little bit. Then we'll get into some announcements, and then we'll get into your questions. So let's get rolling on some photos. Richard Blazak, appreciate those stars, buddy. All right, first things first, we're catching inshore. We're going to start inshore and show you guys what we're seeing inshore. Then we're going to work our way nearshore and offshore. Scott Flynn, appreciate those stars, buddy. Inshore right now, we're seeing some of these nice black drum. The black drum are pretty prolific this time of year. It cools down a little bit. We see a lot more black drum action around for sure. We're seeing the redfish super prolific today. I had a meeting with the mayor of Madeira Beach out there on the jetty. And it was hard to talk to her because all I could hear was drag peeling. There was probably like 7, 8 guys along the jetty, and every cast, every shrimp, they were getting hammered by these redfish. It was sick. It was catching, not fishing out there. It was really, really cool to see. So redfish action is prolific, super aggressive for sure. A lot of redfish around, these kind of schooly size fish, slot and under slot fish galore right now throughout the entire area, from the back and upper bay waters all the way out to our beautiful beaches. And in the past, we're seeing the redfish. I walked down to Don's dock and they had some fishermen down there catching redfish. Walked out on our dock, saw someone catch a redfish. It was nuts today in the pass. Also, the sheepshead bite is picked up quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of sheepshead action. Things have cooled down. They're really, really getting aggressive around the different rock structures, bridges, piers, jetties, rock piles. We're seeing quite a few of the sheepshead. Still some snook around too. The snook action hasn't given up yet. There's still some snook cruising the boardwalk this morning, and throughout the day we're seeing quite a few, but they're hanging down lower. They're a little bit more lethargic. Definitely not as active as the redfish, but people are getting them to chew. You just got to work a little bit harder to find cooperative snook. Get them at that right time for sure. We're seeing some nice snook, though, especially in the back bay and upper bay waters. They've retreated quite a bit. A lot of the numbers are up in the back bay and retreating to those creek mouths and river mouths and things like that. Trout action has been great. We're seeing quite a few trout around the area, a bigger average size of the trout overall, but a lot of these fun-sized trout are super prolific. There's a big boy trout. So some really nice trout action. Also, flounder have picked up. We're seeing a lot of pompano pick up as well, so it's a good time to get out there inshore and enjoy some fishing fun for sure. Now, we're going to get a little bit deeper and show you guys what we're catching a little bit deeper, near shore and then offshore. D. Beers, appreciate those 3,000 stars. Sam Lang, what's going on, buddy? Appreciate the stars. Scott Flynn, Richard Blazak as well. Thank you guys for those stars. All right, now let's work our way near shore and offshore and show you guys what we're catching a little bit deeper. As I said, flounder have picked up. We're starting to see them even on our half-day trips, 10-hour all-day trips as we're drifting around and we drift off that little rock piece to the next rock piece. We're seeing some of those flounder out there. The hogfish bite has been pretty good lately. The last 10-hour caught about, I think, 9 or 10 keepers. Today is Sunday, so that was Thursday's 10-hour, caught about 9 to 10 keepers. Today's 10-hour trip caught, I think, around 8 or 9 keeper hogfish, so another really good day out there today. So hogfish bite continues to be pretty steady. We're seeing plenty of other heads and tails in with the hogfish, the gray snapper, the porgies, the sea bass. So a good time to get out there and enjoy some all-day fishing fun with us at Hubbard's Marina. That 10-hour near-shore trip is really a good way to target those hogfish and get dialed in on them for sure. Seeing some nice ones, as you can see. And it's a good time to get out there right now. Not a lot of people. Today's Sunday, typically a more busy 10-hour trip. Only had about, I think, 38 people on it. The weekdays are even lighter, so not a lot of people, lots of elbow room, and fishing is going pretty well for us. I thought today might be a little bit slower because we're so close behind this most recent front, but it really didn't slow down much today. The fishing was hot, even near shore. The 12-hour extreme, I called Captain Joe to get a report, but unfortunately I couldn't get a hold of him. But I would assume they did really well as well. The Flying Hub 2 has been limited out on the red snapper, seeing plenty of triggerfish, catching lots of nice mangroves as well. So definitely crushing it on the extreme trip. The 39-hour is doing incredibly well with some catch and release gag groupers, some big dogs that we're catching and throwing back. but plenty of other species that we're able to keep, like the yellowtails, the mangroves, the porgies, the vermilions, the almacos, the triggerfish, the scamp, the red grouper, the red snapper, and of course these mutton. This is our buddy Jeff Reedy. He won both jackpots on this trip with the biggest red snapper and then the biggest other snapper with his nice mutton and that big fat red snapper. So big shout out to Jeff. Congrats, buddy. A lot of red snapper coming up. We're seeing some good red snapper action. It is a great time to capitalize on these red snapper. During the summer, it's so hot out there and the trips are more full. This time of year, we're running these red snapper trips with 25, 30, not very many people around. So definitely a great time to get out there. Plus the other species that we don't see as much or as big in the summer, like these big yellowtails, and we're seeing the muttons, we're seeing big mangroves. It's been really good fishing out there as of late. So definitely a good opportunity to get out there and capitalize on some good action and plenty of elbow room as well. So fishing is hot, to say the least, for sure. Now, with that, we've talked a little bit about what we're catching. Let's get rolling into what the weather's doing. We'll talk a little bit about the weather. In order to do that, we're going to pop over to hubbardsmarina.com on our beautiful website. We're going to hit fishing trips. We're going to scroll down and hit weather links. And once we hit weather links, it'll bring us to the weather page here. I like the wind finder forecasts, but I also sometimes look at the NOAA forecasts, sometimes the buoy information. This will actually show you what's happening now, so you can kind of look at what's forecasted and then look at what's happening now. It's pretty cool. But let's start in the 5 and 10 hour forecast area, and you can pretty easily see we've got a really nice weather window here. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday looks gorgeous, and then we're gonna get a pretty big solid front here Wednesday. Now this is good news. This is changing a little bit. The last since Saturday morning, this front comes in Wednesday, and it was looking like it was going to blow almost all weekend. This has changed since this morning. It looks like it's calming down. The forecast is calming down for this weekend, which would be really good because we got a 44-hour full moon trip that we want to get out there. We got that 12-hour night snapper that we want to get out there too. So I'm hoping this trend that we're seeing right now continues. But we know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, the fishing, the weather is going to be best tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. For sure, gorgeous weather, great fishing because we're on the backside of a front and we're coming up on another front. So these fish are going to be super excited. The bite should be super good tomorrow and especially Tuesday ahead of that next front when the wind starts to pick up Wednesday. So if you can make it out on Tuesday's 10-hour all day, we also added a 12-hour extreme trip in for tomorrow. There's still plenty of room if you wanted to get a wild hair and jump on that extreme trip tomorrow, or the 10-hour trip 10-hour trip Tuesday. I think the 10-hour Tuesday, it's got only 18 people on it. So super light load Tuesday to capitalize on those hogfish. They should be biting extremely well. Tomorrow's extreme trip only has 8 people on it. So both really good options tomorrow for that extreme and then Tuesday for that 10-hour. And then, of course, we've got half days both days as well. And then Wednesday, it gets a little nautical. That weather's going to be a little crazy, and then it starts to calm down Friday, and then into Saturday. Sunday might potentially be pretty good. We'll see if that weather trend continues and it continues to calm down this weekend. We'll keep our fingers and toes crossed and hope for the best. But like I said, everything for sure is going to be beautiful Monday and Tuesday. So if I was you, I would plan on getting out there on tomorrow's extreme trip, Tuesday's 10-hour, or one of those half-day trips because it's just going to be such a great weather day, and the fishing should be stellar for sure. Very excited, very excited. So we talked a little bit about what we're catching now. We talked a little bit about the weather. Want to make sure we also tell you a little bit about what's going on now and what's coming up. The big thing this week that we want to make sure we emphasize tonight during the show is Wednesday. We've got a super important opportunity to try to preserve fishing access in Johns Pass. So we've talked a little bit about the jetty issue. I did a video this past week. Josh is going to show you that video now, and I'll stop talking for a second and let the video explain what's going on. So we'll roll that video here, starting. I don't think I have a button for it, Josh. Josh will start the video for us. We'll talk a little bit more about it after. Logical, and we want to show up to the City of Madeira Beach City Commission meeting and make sure the City Commission and the City Marina wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about this big event coming up. I need your help, and we need to save John's Pass fishing access. Unfortunately, the walkway on this jetty was destroyed, and we are now not allowed to be fishing from the rocks that was once a walkway and a jetty, and it's super frustrating. But good news is the Madeira Beach City Mayor is very supportive and wants to help us preserve fishing access to these rocks. So technically, along this rock jetty, no one's allowed to be out here or able to fish out here, and if a sheriff shows up, they run everybody off the rocks. But you are able to fish from the rocks right underneath the bridge outside of this jetty area. It makes no sense, it's not logical, and we want to show up to the City of Madeira Beach City Commission meeting and make sure the City Commission and the City Manager knows that these rocks should be open for fishing access. And it's really simple. They just put up some signs. Instead of "stay off the rocks, no trespassing," put up signs that say "fish at your own risk" and "do not enter the rocks at your own risk," or something like that. I don't know how the wording goes, but they can figure it out. It's really simple. There's tons of areas that allow fishing access from rocks, like at the Skyway Fishing Pier, you can fish from the rocks. Right underneath the bridge, you can fish from the rocks. Literally, the sheriff will come out here and tell you to stop fishing from these rocks, but you can walk down here into the parking lot and fish from those rocks. It makes no sense. So let's use some logic. Let's allow fishing access back along this jetty walkway, or that once was a walkway, and let's hurry up and expedite reconstruction of this sidewalk that was once a jetty walkway. This is a great fishing area. It's really frustrating to see that it was destroyed due to some damage at the very end. And because the end was damaged, they blocked it off, but they couldn't keep people from going out there and trying to access the end. So instead of trying to get with a engineer or some type of professional to give an estimate or a way forward, or to deem it unsafe, the city manager ordered Public Works to just come out here and jackhammer the whole thing because they were worried about the safety. Now there's a bunch of rebar and concrete here, and on top of that, they were asked in the last meeting if the rebar and concrete was removed, and the city manager said it was. But you can see behind me, the concrete walkway is still here. Nothing was removed. So I've explained it more in the post. Please read the post. Please show up. Again, the whole message here is you need to show up. Your friends need to show up. As many people as possible need to show up. December 11th, that's a Wednesday, at 2 p.m. at Madeira Beach City Hall. Unfortunately, I have to be out of town for a fisheries meeting, so I can't be there, but we need as many folks to show up as possible. I put the talking points in the post, so again, read the post and show up December 11th at 2 p.m. to the City of Madeira Beach workshop to hopefully get the city commission to pressure the city manager into allowing people to fish from these rocks, because fishing out here is great. We want to be able to access this fishing point and this fishing access, but we need your help. We need people to show up. So 10 people will help, 20 people will do a better job. The more, the merrier. So please tell your friends. Let's get out here and support fishing access in Johns Pass and make fishing great again in Johns Pass.
All right, so you get the gist of it here. That basically we have a big problem. So we had a jetty walkway. Now we don't have a walkway out there, and it's so frustrating. So if you can
Marina,
help make it out there to this event, this is Wednesday, December 11th at 2 p.m. If you're not local and you can't make it out there, you can still help. And the way you can help is simply going to the City of Madeira Beach's website. Josh, can you pull up City of Madeira Beach's website so we can show folks what I'm talking about here? So if you can't make it in person, like myself, I'm going to be out of town at a meeting. So I wrote a letter, and that letter can be found in my post. I put it in the comments. But you can literally just Google City of Madeira Beach, Florida, and find their website. And then all you have to do is go to the Board of Commissioners page, and the Board of Commissioners has the contact information. And so these are the different Board of Commissioners. The Mayor, Anne Marie Brooks, is on our side. She's trying to help us, but we need all the commissioners to vote and tell the city manager that that he should open it back up. So please make sure, if you can, join us in person December 11th, this Wednesday at 2 p.m. If you can't, again, go to City of Madeira Beach's website, find the Board of Commissioners contact information, and shoot them an email. Shoot them an email. Say, hey, I fish in Johns Pass. I go there to fish, and we should be able to fish the rocks. Open up fishing access in Johns Pass around the jetty area again. So simple email to all the commissioners would really be helpful. So if you can't make it in person, shoot some emails for me, and we can fix this problem. The city mayor wants to help. The city commission will help if enough people show up, if enough people send emails. We've seen this before in the city. There was a problem over at the park area where people fished, or where people park to fish the jetty. A bunch of kids were going out there and hanging out and vandalizing things. So the city just came in and closed the park at night. So once the sun went down, there was no trespassing in the park, so people couldn't go out there to the jetty area and fish for snook at night, which was a huge loss. But fishermen contacted me. We worked with the city, and the city actually has a sign out there that says no trespassing after sunset except for fishermen. So they've already set a precedence that the city is willing to work with fishermen. Right now, the big problem is the city manager. We need to make sure the city manager is outvoted by the city commission. The city commission can tell the city manager, hey, allow people to fish out there again. So the city manager needs to be told that he can't deny fishing access by the city commission. And the only way the city commission will do that is if you show up in person and talk at the podium, or you send some emails. So that's enough about that. Please help us. And there's all the links in the chat as well. So again, you can find it on the Dylan Hubbard Facebook page. And I shared it on the Captain Dylan Hubbard Facebook page as well. But we also put all the links in the chat there too. So hopefully you found it. Can you share that link one more time just to make sure people got it, Josh?
This one?
No, the one above that. Yeah, that one. All right, so with that, let's get into the other announcements. The schedule is out. So if you want to book a 2025 trip, 12-hour extreme, 39-hour, 44-hour trip, if you want to book one of those red snapper, one of those gag grouper trips, the schedule is open for bookings now. Now, keep in mind, the seasons for next year are not specifically set in stone, but we have a really good idea of what the 2025 seasons will be. I'm guesstimating that gag grouper will be open for about the month of September. Amberjack should be open for the months of September and October. Red snapper could potentially be open all the way into September, but red snapper will open June 1st in 2025, and it will be open for sure until the end of August, but it might even leak into September. So that first week in September, we could have everything open. We could have everything open. Red snapper, gag grouper, amberjack, triggerfish, the works, except for red grouper. So That's pretty wild. That'll be the first time in a long time if that happens, but there's a potential for that to happen. So super exciting time. So make sure you book those trips early because they are already starting to fill up. And a lot of people are booking early and booking often. So make sure if you want to book a 2025 trip, book now. That schedule is open for all our trips in 2025. So Gags should be September, Amberjack should be September and October. Red Snapper will open June 1st and probably be open maybe into September. Then you have Red Grouper will be open January 1st and will be open until probably end of May. We're going to see a closure, I would guess, on Red Grouper in 2025. Triggerfish are always open every month except for January, February, and June and July. So Triggerfish should be open 8 months of the year next year. So those are the seasons as they fall right now. So make sure you're booking up. Those schedules are open. Charles Carter, appreciate those 500 stars, buddy. All right, so we talked about the schedule, the jetty. I think that's about everything I wanted to announce in perfect timing. We've got Capt Mike Anderson on the line. So we'll go to him and chat with Capt Mike. I know he's been fishing this week. How you doing, buddy? Not here? Just kidding? Did we lose him?
Yo.
Oh, there he is. What's going on, Capt
Mike?
Mike?
What's up, buddy? How are you, pal? I thought we were having technical difficulties or something.
Yeah, maybe for a second, but Josh got it straightened out for us, man. So I know you were fishing this week. Yeah, right. I know you were fishing this week. How'd you do out there?
You know what? It was pretty good. It was really cold. We fished early in the week. We had some of those brutally cold mornings, that northeast wind. Yeah. It was pretty chilly running around, but my people wanted to go. I told them to dress warm, and we try to get in some places that were protected and some of the creeks. And we had some super low negative tides, so we had to kind of find our little holes and our little spots. But all in all, the bite was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was crazy, but it was pretty steady. Some really, really nice, healthy-looking trout, which is good to see. We caught quite a few redfish. Caught some flounder, caught some jacks, some ladyfish, caught a few snook, not a lot of snook, but we caught a few. And by the time you were done with your morning, we kind of had to work at it, grind a little bit, but by the time your 4-hour trip was over, you kind of looked at your customers and they looked at you and said, hey, that was pretty good morning. So it wasn't too bad.
Nice.
And I'm excited. I'm really excited for tomorrow. It's a little bit of warm up here. It's going to be a beautiful day. We can kind of run wherever we want. I'm excited for that. It warmed up the past 2 days. I got a good report on some bait. So, and I guess they ate bait pretty good today. So I think tomorrow's going to be good. My next trip is Wednesday. That doesn't look so good, but I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah. I know the redfish bite, you might have missed it earlier in the show. We were talking about John's Pass. I had a meeting with the city mayor down at the jetty area today, which the city has made no trespassing, but fishermen still get out there, and I was meeting with the mayor in the area that was closed and no trespassing, and there's probably like 10, 15 guys fishing, and literally it was hard to have a conversation because of all the drag screaming. It was nuts.
Really?
The dudes were freaking out, like shaking. It was every cast, every shrimp was catching a redfish. It was on
Were they the big ones? I mean, you get on the beach this time of year, you get some, okay.
No,
but that's okay.
Ones.
I mean, that's what we were catching in the backcountry, anything from 16 to 22, 23 inches. But
that was pretty much it.
Yeah, the numbers are really, really good. So,
Strong.
if you can get into a pocket where those fish are, hanging out again, that dark mud bottom, some of the creeks, especially with some deeper holes in them, some places where you can get maybe 8 foot of water, 10 foot of water, get into a little bit of thermocline as this water temp kind of fluctuates. I think that's a good thing. And I tell you, I hate to do it, but I'm going to take this opportunity. I get the question all the time, just like I know you do, why does CCA do? What does CCA do? Coast Conservation, what are they doing? The redfish explosion that you're seeing is 110% related to what CCA and Duke Energy have done on the west coast of Florida the last couple of years with all of those little redfish they've been putting into the estuaries. That hatchery program they got going is rocking. It is really, really working. I mean, it really is. I know I even me, I'm a big CCA guy, as you know, and I don't always agree with where they stand on everything, and sometimes they don't get quite as emotional as I'd like them to get. But doggone it, they do some really good stuff. There's a lot of new pieces of structure offshore, artificial reefs and things like that. There's a lot of redfish inshore. There's a lot of stuff that CCA has really, really done to help out the west coast of Florida here the last couple of years.
Yeah, the number of redfish is just crazy. I mean, it's
staggering.
hard.
Staggering.
It's hard to sheep's head fish in Johns Pass right now because if you drop a shrimp, you're getting a redfish. Even half a shrimp, you're getting a redfish. It was insane. Whether it was on the jetty or walking to Don's Dock or just walking the boardwalk, everybody was hooked up with redfish today. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so good to see. It's just, that and the bounce back that the trout have made.
Yeah.
We talked to Captain Scott Moore on the radio today. We talked to Captain Rick Gross on the radio today. Guys down there, both of the fish, kind of Anna Maria, Bradenton, Sarasota Bay. And they just said that the big trout bite's been phenomenal down there. So, I mean, that's just so great because both of those species the last couple of years have been really, really tough. So it's a nice positive sign. I like the cold weather that we're getting. I'll keep saying that for as long as we're blessed with it because I think, again, it turns everything over, kind of freshens things up a little bit, kills off some of that algae. So I'm excited. I think it's, it started out to be a great winter season, if you will.
Yeah.
And, I can't wait. I know some of the guys are catching the sheephead. I haven't really targeted them yet. And I haven't even caught. I keep thinking in some of these creeks where we are that we're going to start to pick up a few. And I haven't yet, but I think that'll change too. I think, just once I kind of focus on them, it may help me out a little bit. I hit some of my dock lines and things, some of the bridges where we catch a lot more of those fish, some of the rock piles in the bay.
Yeah.
But if that fishery is as good as what we've seen, if our winter sheepshead fishery holds up to, because I've seen so many fish, and I know you have said the same thing there in the past, it should be, man, the winter fishing is it's shaping up to be some of the best wintertime fishing we've had in the last maybe 5 or 10 years.
Yeah. Fingers crossed everything stays the same, man. Because it should lead for a great spring too.
Well, that's again, when I tell people that, I've lived here long enough, even though I'm from Cheesehead land, I've lived here long enough that, I get cold too. So I don't necessarily love the cold weather, but we need it. And that's the blessing. When it's cold out and you love to fish, when these fish come out of the backcountry in the spring, after you have a little bit of a, colder winter, they're just so hungry. They're so hungry, and the bite gets so aggressive.
The snow fishing is nuts.
It goes nuts, and it makes for a really, really good spring. So, so far I'm excited. I'm not happy we didn't get much of a kingfish season, at least for us bayboat guys.
Yeah.
But, super excited to see what the sheephead bite's going to give us. Hopefully the redfish and the trout, both cold water tolerant, those two species should continue to fire off here for the next couple months. And then, we roll into late March, start to get some warm ups. That water temp starts to creep back towards 68, 70 degrees, and, all hell should break loose. Should be pretty cool.
Looking forward to it, brother. Well, we appreciate it, my friend. I know you got to wake up early and run your trip tomorrow, so I hope you have a good night.
I'm looking forward to a Yellowstone and a nap. That's what we're looking at, buddy.
All right, brother. Enjoy.
I appreciate you guys. You and Josh have a great night.
You too, man. Thanks, Capt Mike.
See you, buddy.
See you, man. Always a pleasure getting our inshore update from our buddy Capt Mike there. And, it's going well. Inshore, nearshore, offshore, it doesn't matter. The bite has been stellar. I did notice I forgot to talk about Final Friday. One thing that we wanted to mention is Final Friday is unfortunately right now canceled. The same city manager that ordered the destruction of that jetty walkway also has shut down Final Friday. Caddies was sponsoring Final Friday. They were spending about $30,000 a month to do Final Friday. They were putting the band on, putting the stage on, helping to pay for the permits and all that good stuff. Really doing a lot for the Johns Pass community. And unfortunately, Hurricane Helene leveled almost a majority of the Caddies locations. So Caddies as a corporation has kind of put a halt on things and is slowly in the rebuild process. So Caddy's Johns Pass is closed, so they're not moving forward with Final Friday, because why would they support an event when their business isn't even in Johns Pass right now? So understandably, they step back for a little bit until they can get rebuilt. And the city manager told us in a public meeting that if Caddy's was unable to or decided to stop, that he would take it on and the city would take it on. But unfortunately, he has once again not followed through with what he said on public record, or just outright lied, however you want to think about it. So super frustrating that Final Friday is currently dead. But I'm hoping, I've got faith, that it will resume at some point once Johns Pass starts to get some momentum back. We can try to figure it out. And I know one thing that's exciting is Hubbard's restaurant, the Friendly Fisherman Seafood Restaurant. The downstairs bar area has been hard at work getting restarted, and we have a meeting tomorrow. We're going to have some events there. We're going to have an event for the Christmas Boat Parade, which is December 13th. Madeira Beach has its lighted boat parade, and we're going to have a big party in the bar area. The bar is going to stay open late, and the Christmas Boat Parade actually ends in Johns Pass at 8:30, so you can come on down to the Friendly Fisherman Bar and restaurant, enjoy some food, drink some cocktails and beers on the dock, on the water, and then the Christmas lighted boat parade is going to go right by. So definitely going to be pretty cool, and we will definitely be advertising that a little bit more after tomorrow's meeting and we find out some more of the details. Plus, we're going to have another party, so that's this weekend. December 13th is that lighted boat parade party in the restaurant bar. Plus, we're going to have another party the following weekend to kick off the actual grand opening of that bar area and really have a good time, kind of a local celebration of Johns Pass, getting some steam back. So that'll be Friday night, December 20th. We'll have a party down there, and all the captains and crew will be there, and a bunch of the locals will be there, so it'll be a good time. And then we're going to talk to them, and I had this idea driving here today. Josh doesn't know about it. I didn't mention it to him yet, but since we now have a little bit better control and communication with that bar in that area, there's no reason we couldn't do fishing seminars in there. And then we could have a fishing seminar with free beer. We could have a liquor bar, and we could have food while we sit there and talk fishing. So I'm thinking of rolling that out and suggesting that at tomorrow's meeting, and then maybe we'll do like every other month or something like that, set up fishing seminar series in the bar area. So it's exciting. There's a lot of exciting stuff that we are going to be planning with our partnership with our restaurant next door at Friendly Fisherman. So cool stuff to come for sure, so stay tuned. And then our final announcement, and then we'll get into your questions. Remember, if you have a question you want answered live during the show, you do have to text it into the phone number on the screen. The final announcement is a reminder. Final Friday or Black Friday deals are still going on inside Johns Pass at Hubbard's Marina. So we definitely have some awesome deals going on. 30% off rods and reels, 30% off Costa sunglasses, 30% off Daiwa reels, 30% off Hubbard's Marina apparel. So we've got a ton of deals, and those deals will be valid through December 22nd, which is the night of our Regulars Club and Supporters Club Christmas party. So remember, if you're a Supporters Club member or a Regulars Club member, December 22nd from 4 to 7, we have our Christmas party. December 21st is the Regulars Club party, December 21st is the Regulars Club party from 4 to 7, and December 20th will be that locals celebration, the local celebration of Johns Pass and the Friendly Fisherman Bar being open. So you can join us Friday night the 20th for that big party at the Friendly Fisherman Bar. You can join us the 21st if you're in our Supporters Club or Regulars Club, and then you can also stop by the shop and take advantage of that Black Friday deal, or stop by earlier. Or if you're sitting there and you're like, hey man, I don't live locally, I'm from out of town or out of state, you can shop our Black Friday sale online as well on our retail store on our website. So you can shop online, you can shop in person, you can stop by and see us in person as well for some of these parties and events we have coming up. So exciting stuff. So yes, Final Friday is not going on right now, but there is some good stuff in the works, and it's only going to get better. So excited about that. All right. Let's get into some questions, but before we do questions, Josh, let's kick it off with a free trip, my friend. Let's go ahead and do our 10-hour all-day trip. 10-hour all-day trip, one lucky winner, 2 guests. Let's see who won the 10-hour all-day. Josh David from Lutz, Florida. Congratulations, you just won the 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. You've got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen. 5 minutes or less, text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen to claim your free trip, Josh. All right. With that, we'll get into some questions. Kurt said, what's the biggest American red snapper that's ever been caught by Hubbard's Marina? Off the top of my head, I want to say like 27, 28 pounds. In my recent memory, but I wouldn't say regularly, but we fairly regularly see the 22, 23, 24 pound, 25 pound fish. Once you get above about 20 pounds, that is a pretty big trophy for our region of the Gulf. And once you get over 25 pounds, that is definitely a red snapper of a lifetime for our area. In the Northern Gulf, they get pretty darn big. They see the 30 plus pounders. The Gulf record is like 50-something pounds, crazy. So there's some big boys out there for sure, and we might even have some off our coast, but I would say in our area, most of the time we're seeing that 20, 25, maybe a little bit bigger than that, up to 30, but it's rare that I hear of a 30-pound fish plus caught in Central West Florida. We just don't have, there's actually different families of red snapper, different gene pools, and those gene pools vary in size. And the gene pools that we have off Central West Florida are not the 30, 40-pound fish. We don't see a lot of them for sure. All right, next question. I'm getting ready to book a 10-hour trip for 2. Can you please give me a recommendation on how much bait to order? I don't want to order too much or have too little and run out. That is always a conundrum. So what I always tell people is it kind of depends on your experience level. If you're a more advanced angler and you're coming out there with spinning rods to target hogfish and you want to catch hogfish, I would bring like at least 10 dozen shrimp per person because you're going to be fishing mostly shrimp and you go through them so quickly because everything bites a shrimp and they come off your hook really easily. So if you're going to be fishing a lot and you're very experienced and you're going after those hogfish, then 10 dozen, maybe even 15 dozen shrimp a person is a good idea. And you don't need pinfish because you're targeting those hogfish, right? This time of year on the 10-hour trip, pinfish isn't really necessary because we're not getting deep enough for the red snapper and there's no red grouper or gag grouper open. So I would say pinfish, maybe a dozen for 2 people, just because if you want to drop a live pinfish down to play with a bigger fish, you can, but most likely it's going to be one of those grouper that you're going to have to catch and release. You might get a big mangrove on a pinfish, even on a 10-hour trip, so you never know. So worth maybe getting a dozen pinfish, but you don't need a lot of pinfish. Don't go crazy on the pinfish this time of year on the 10-hour. But the shrimp is a good option. If you're less experienced, maybe this is your first 10-hour trip, then you might need 5 dozen shrimp for the 2 of you. Just to have them, if you get into the hogfish, you want to make sure you have a couple to drop down. But you don't need to go crazy because you're going to really want to fish squid. Squid would really be your best bet because it's going to stay on the hook well. It's going to be easier to feel the bite. It's going to be very forgiving, and you're going to catch a lot of those smaller fish and get the hang of how to use a rod and reel, how to feel the bite, and really how to fish. So if you're a first-timer, if you don't do it a lot, stick to the squid. Don't go crazy with the live bait. If you're more experienced, you're bringing that hogfish gear, you want hogfish, go crazier with the shrimp. Hopefully that answers your question. is the Regulars Club January to December. The Regulars Club starts from the day you sign up. We start sign-ups December 1st for new members, so the Regulars Club is open now. So if you wanted to join the Regulars Club, you could call me and we could set you up over the phone, or you could email me at info@hubbardsmarina.com and give me your information, your phone number, your name, and I can call you and sign you up over the phone. But once you get set up in the Regulars Club, once membership open December 1st, so anytime in December you sign up, the membership goes until December 31st of 2025. So our 2025 clubs open December 1st of 2024. So you can sign up December 1st of 2024 and it goes all the way till December 31st of 2025. If you wait and sign up in March of 2025, that membership is still going to end December 31st of 2025. It runs on that calendar year. It doesn't run a year from the day you sign up. So the earlier you sign up, the more it benefits you because you'll have more time in the club and more discounts. The Regulars Club is a loyalty program. It's not a discount program, but it does give you really big discounts. So the top level club is $400 to join up front and a $40 first time sign up fee. So it's $440 plus tax. So it's like $470 to start. But the Regulars Club gives you huge discounts. So if you go to hubbardsmarina.com and you click, I'm talking about it and not showing you. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com and click fishing trips, scroll down to fishing trip information, you'll find the Regulars Club info. That's going to bring you to the Regulars Club page. There's a video that describes the Regulars Club, and then you'll see the different club levels. You've got the Gray Snapper Club is the lowest level, cheapest to enter, but it gives you a smaller discount. And then you got the Grouper Club, which is the middle level, a little bit more expensive, but a bigger discount. And then you got the top level, which gives you 50% off, half price 5 and 10 hour trips, and 30% off the 12-hour night, 39 and 44-hour trips. So in that top level club, it's $400 to join for the club level, then $40 for a first-time member with tax. It's like $470. But the price of the trips, for example, a 39-hour is $499. In that top level club, it's only $349. So you're saving $150. So while it's almost $500 to join, you're saving $150 every time you fish. So if you're doing 10 trips a year, you're actually way ahead of the game, saving a ton of money joining the Regulars Club. So that's why it's a loyalty program, not a discount program. It's really meant for people who are fishing 5, 10, 15 times a year to be able to afford to go fishing 10, 15, or 20 times a year for the same amount of money. So it makes fishing more affordable so you can fish more often. So if you want to fish a lot, definitely the Regulars Club is something you want to think about. And it's good to get entered sooner than later. And again, you sign up with me personally, either over the phone or in person. And you can call me or email me to get a hold of me, and we'll make that happen for you. When targeting mangrove snapper on the 12-hour overnight trip, what size hook and bait do you recommend? On the 12-hour night mangrove snapper trip, I'd be fishing around a 30 or 40-pound leader, probably about 4 or 5/0 hooks, and I'd probably be using a small piece of cut thread fin on a double snell rig. Again, on our website, if you go to hubbardsmarina.com and you hit fishing trips and then scroll down to fishing video links, there's a fishing tips and tricks page, and there's a mangrove snapper fishing tips video. I filmed this like 6 years ago, and it's still a really good video. I think it's like 25 minutes long, and I really go in depth about mangrove snapper because it's one of my favorite fish to target and catch. So definitely a good idea to check out the fishing tips and tricks page because there's just so much information there. Laura, appreciate those stars. Don Schuett, appreciate those 400 stars, buddy. Thank you, guys. Next question, what do we got? I know it's a way out, but it looks like at the beginning of the year, mid-January, is fishing trips for Christmas. Wait, I know it's a way out, but what'll things look like beginning of the year, mid-January, as fishing trips for Christmas are great gifts? I think what you're asking me is like, oh, what trips should I book in January for a Christmas gift? I wouldn't do that because it's hard to guess what people's schedule is, and it's hard to do. It's hard to pick a trip for someone else. What I would suggest doing is going onto our website. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com and you hit shop, and then the Marina store is where you can shop our Black Friday deals and all that good stuff. But if you scroll down to the bottom, there's gift certificates, and you can purchase a gift card to Hubbard's Marina. So instead of trying to decide what trip they want and book them a trip for Christmas, just buy them a gift card. You can call our office too if you'd rather call, and we can do a gift card over the phone, or you could do a gift card on our website, and then you are set. Easy Christmas gift for the fisherman in your life, or fisherwoman in your life. Makes it real easy. So get a gift card. Did the storms uncover any new ground or introduce any new species? So a lot of times hurricanes moving up and down the coast and hitting the coast, they can move fish around. So like behind Hurricane Ian, which hit southwest Florida around Fort Myers, it actually pushed a bunch of fish towards us. Behind Hurricane Ian, we caught dog snapper, schoolmaster snapper, these weird snapper species that you normally only see way south, like around the Keys. The storms didn't do that because we didn't really get fishing right away behind those storms. It took 2 weeks or so before we can get offshore. So we didn't see any unique species behind the storms, but it did definitely change the topography of our nearshore bottom. Anything within about 100 foot of water, areas that were good fishing areas got covered up in sand, and other areas that were sand got uncovered and are now good fishing areas. So it definitely makes it tricky. Like, I am blessed. My father was a captain for many years. We had a bunch of guys that have worked with us over the years, like Captain Sam Carroll, and a bunch of living legends in the Hubbard's Marina family that fished a long time off our coast. And I have a lot of that information, and I have to always kind of sort it out, because if I go to one of my dad's secret hot spots in 60 foot of water, for example, a lot of times if I'm not careful and I don't plan my trip carefully, and I go out to an area that he used to fish in the early 90s or in the 80s, that area is just sand. So the sand shifts, and our coast is limestone bottom, and so we have this silt and sand out there, and when these big storms come through and we get these big waves, a lot of that sand can shift, and an area that was rocky, ledgy, cracked up Swiss cheese bottom gets covered in sand and silt, and where that sand and silt was is now rocky area once again. So I have a lot of area that's really good, but it might be covered up in sand for now. But who knows? Maybe this recent storm uncovered it. So it's always one of those things you got to just kind of go out there, and it's trial and error. So it makes it fun. It's definitely a little bit challenging, but it makes it fun. The offshore stuff beyond 100 foot of water doesn't really change too much. A lot of that structure is a lot bigger, and a lot of that area is really difficult to get stirred up enough to really uncover or cover up new bottoms. So we don't really see that much offshore, but inside 100 foot of water, definitely things change quite a bit behind these storms. I'm from Bradenton. Is there a place that you're able to park to bring my kids to fish for reds in Johns Pass? So yes, there is. Kingfish Park has, the jetty fishing area has a parking area. You could also fish or park in the parking garage and fish our dock. As long as we're not actively loading or unloading, we allow fishing from our dock at Hubbard's Marina. You could always fish that sand that piled up there and fish around the bridge as well. So there's a lot of areas you can fish. You're not supposed to fish in the jetty area, but you could fish out there, but the sheriff's going to show up and tell you to leave. And then you have to leave, and you literally can fish these rocks, but you can't fish those rocks. It makes no sense. So hopefully by Thursday we'll have that fixed, but for now you can't really fish the jetty. But you could fish the beach right next to the jetty out there on Madeira Beach, and they were catching redfish out there today too. So it really didn't matter. Virtually everywhere was really popping off with the redfish today. So definitely worth it to get out there with the kids. let's do our 5-hour half-day giveaway. Then we'll get a few more questions in here before we have to wrap up. Show kind of flew by tonight. All right, 5-hour half-day for 2. 1 lucky winner, 2 guests, 5-hour half-day. Sharon Leska. Congratulations, Sharon. She was talking about how she still fishes the jetty, and the trout the trout bite has been really good out there. So now you get to go on a 5-hour half day and potentially catch you a hogfish, Sharon. Bring that trout rod with you and get a lot of shrimp. And you can catch a bunch of tacos with the gray snapper and maybe even a redfish. I mean, a hogfish. You got 5 minutes or less, though, as a lucky winner to text us your full home address. What is the best bait for black grouper? We have been seeing a lot of black grouper recently, which is kind of unique, but we've been catching quite a few keepers. They've been coming up on live pinfish, big live baits. Big live baits are the way to go for the black grouper for sure, but you need big tackle because those black grouper, they fight real hard. So I would bet in those areas, I mean, Will said it, the one area that we caught and kept that nice big black grouper, multiple people, half dozen broke off and just got totally dogged. So I bet there was a lot bigger black grouper down there. So if you want to try to catch a black grouper, I would bring a 50 wide, an 80 wide, something huge, a 9-knot, and 100-pound main line, 125-pound leader, 12-aught hook, and drop a massive live bait down there to the bottom. And that's going to be the way you get a big, true black grouper, or a really big gag that you'll have to catch and release, unfortunately. But definitely, big live bait is the way to go for sure. Someone said, can I bring beer on the 10-hour trip? No, unfortunately, you can't bring beer on any of our public trips except the 12-hour extreme trip. The 12-hour extreme trip is on the Flying Hub 2, and that boat doesn't have an alcohol license. But our 5-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour night, 39, 44-hour, those boats have alcohol licenses. So the state of Florida says wherever there's an alcohol license, you can't bring alcohol. So unfortunately, we can't allow it on the boat for that reason. Let's see. I'm on the Regulars Club and thinking of coming on the extreme trip tomorrow. How would I do that if I decide? I would just book online. You can book online, or you don't even have to book, just show up tomorrow. Like I said, there's only 9 people on the trip, so there is 7 open spots. We're not going to have 7 people show up for the extreme trip tomorrow morning. So you could book online and secure a spot and know you have a reservation for it. Or you could just show up tomorrow morning. The boat leaves at 5 a.m., so show up around 4. You could even call in the morning. We'll be open around 4 or 4:15 a.m., so you could call as well if you're concerned before you come down. But I would just show up or book online. Those are your 2 options. Is there going to be a 2025 calendar? For the love of God, I hope there will be. That has been a little bit of a fiasco, but the storm slowed us down. There's been a lot of issues there, but I'm praying and keeping all my fingers and toes crossed. We will have a 2025 fishing calendar at our Regulars Club and Supporters Club Christmas party to give away, and then we'll have them on sale on our website for those who are not in our Regulars Club or Supporters Club. We're going to give them away free to the Regulars Club and Supporters Club members at the Christmas party, December 21st from 4 to 7, and then we will sell some on our website and in our office as well. We always sell them for pretty cheap, pretty much what we bought them for, because we want you to get them, and it's all the fishing photos from the past year or so it's pretty fun. Let's see, parking fees. Yeah, you get a break on parking with us. It's like $4 an hour or something crazy. But when you're on a trip with Hubbard's Marina, it's only $7 per day. So on a 39-hour trip, it's only $14 because you'll be parked for 2 days. So our half-day trips, 10-hour trips, parking's only $7. And it's the cheapest parking in Johns Pass for sure. Someone said, what about NA beers? Technically, an NA beer is still a beer, and the ATF, Department of Professional Business Regulations, DPBR, we actually got in a lot of trouble for that. already because we allowed non-alcoholic beer on the boat, and apparently that's considered alcohol still. And basically it's a tax thing. So they want the tax. We have to pay crazy taxes to have an alcohol license. And if you allow people to bring their own alcohol to a place that has an alcohol license, they can't make their tax money. So they get really uppity about you allowing alcohol in an area that sells alcohol. So that's why we can't allow it on the boat, and that's why we got in a lot of trouble, and that's why we have to be a little bit careful. So technically, to answer your question, you can't bring non-alcoholic on the beer on the boat because it is still considered beer, unfortunately. Pretty silly, but not my rule. Are the triple tail biting yet? Yes. Ironically, there was a triple tail tournament today down there at Don's Dock. A bunch of the guys had an impromptu triple tail tournament, and they went out there and caught a bunch of them. So, pretty good. Are frozen sand fleas good for sheep's head? Yes, definitely frozen sand fleas work, but fresh ones are even better. Live ones would be best. Fiddler crabs work well. Barnacles, cut clams, cut oysters, even a small piece of shrimp works really well for the sheep's head. I always like to scrape a few barnacles and then use a small piece of shrimp. You can even take the shell off the shrimp and just use that ooey gooey innards of the shrimp, and that seems to work really well. But you want a small piece of bait, you want a minimal weight or no weight at all, and you want to just drift it right along the piling of the dock you're fishing, and you'll get a good opportunity for a nice sheep's head for sure. All right, I'm new to saltwater fishing, coming from freshwater. What are some good tips? Don't yank. Freshwater fishermen love to set the hook, and I get it. That's what you've grown up doing. So the biggest thing, if you're coming from freshwater to fish saltwater, especially bottom fishing for saltwater, you crank to set the hook. So crank, don't yank to set the hook. No matter how high and hard you jerk up on the rod, you are not moving the hook on the bottom. Remember, if you're fishing 100 foot of water, the boat's up here, the bottom of the Gulf is down here, there is a big bow in your line because of current. And because a monofilament can get dragged in that current, there's a big bow. There's a lot of slack in your line. Even if you're keeping your line pretty tight, and you can feel your lead on the bottom, there's still a lot of slack in your line. Plus, the line has stretch as well. So as I'm 6'7", and I fish a 7 foot long rod, and I could have that rod pointed at the water, and I could jerk that rod all the way up above my head and move the rod tip probably 15 feet. And that's not going to move the hook very much, if at all, on the bottom 100 feet down. One turn of that handle is going to retrieve about 7 foot of line, 6 foot of line in most high-end reels. So if I quickly turn the handle 10 times, I'm retrieving 70 feet of line. So that's way better than trying to set the hook and moving that rod tip 15 feet, right? So always want to make sure you remember, crank, don't yank. That's the biggest piece of information that freshwater fishermen can sometimes struggle with, just because you've been raised on that set the hook mentality. So that's a little bit challenge. Besides that, I would recommend looking at our website. Our website has so many resources on it with, like I mentioned before, go to fishing trips, go to fishing video links. You have the fishing tips and tricks page, which is going to show you all the different videos, rigging tips, a bunch of general tips. If you watch all these videos, you're going to be really, really in a good spot. Plus, on top of that, check out the different trip pages. There's so much information and helpful tips and tricks and things you can expand on and read. So read the trip pages, check out the fishing video links. There's also the Bass Pro fishing seminars. Back when we used to do fishing seminars at Bass Pro, there's all the different seminars that I've done at Bass Pro recorded here on the website as well. So these are all hour-long fishing seminars. So there's 2 pages. So there's like 20, 30 fishing seminars you can watch. Also, there is Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard. There's 20 pages of these live shows. So you want to watch some fishing content, you can watch these live shows. And I mean, there's hours of live shows on our YouTube channel as well. And then on top of that, you have the Catch More Fish page, which is going to show you all the fishing reports too. You can view all the fishing reports. There is years of fishing reports. We write a fishing report every week, and there's always a little bit of a tip or a trick in that fishing report. So tons of information. Oh, you can archive it. How far back does that go?
When I first started.
Oh, yeah. So it would have gone back further, but Josh started doing it when he started. All right, that makes sense. I think I started writing these in like 2013. So we probably have those on the computer somewhere.
Oh, we do have them.
But I was not as consistent with it until Fox 13. Fox 13 makes me do a report every week. So I don't forget the reports as often because of Fox 13. There's still occasions where I miss it. Like this past week, I missed it because I was out of town with family and didn't write one. But definitely a ton of information there as well. So really dive in there. And then what else? There was one more helpful piece of information on here. Oh, the Fisheries Science and Management page is pretty cool. The Supporters Club, you can really get a lot of information in the Supporters Club because you can ask a question and everybody is so helpful in there. So the Supporters Club is great. You could also check out Salt Strong. There, whoa. You can join Salt Strong. This is a great way. I mean, you think our website has a lot of content. What Salt Strong is nuts. And it's like $100 to join. And if you join through that link on our website, you also get all the classes that we filmed with them on offshore saltwater fishing for free, included in your membership. Normally they're like $100 a piece. So basically it's like a $400, $500 value for the price of one. So tons of information. Sit on our website and enjoy is what I would recommend. Come on, Josh, one more question. Are we getting any pinfish for the 39-hour trips? Yes, we had pinfish for the last trip. We had pinfish today. We have struggled catching a little bit of pinfish because we've had a lot of bad water. We've had a lot of rough water. We've had a lot of cold fronts. We've had a lot of rough weather. So it's been very tricky to catch pinfish. We had about a week and a half or 2 weeks where we couldn't catch pinfish. But the weather calmed down a little bit. We did really well getting pinfish for our Friday trip. We had plenty of pinfish for today's trip, and I would imagine Sunday's 39-hour, no problem for them as well. Frozen scallops or mussels, definitely, they'd be good bait. For the sheep's head, I wouldn't use them offshore. They'd fall off the hook really, really easily, but for sheep's head, that would probably work pretty well. If I decided to buy a 7-foot rod from you, does anywhere locally sell cases to fit that? Yes. Gator Jim's Tackle has rod cases. Dogfish Tackle has rod cases. A bunch of the big local tackle shops will have travel cases. You can also order one on Amazon and have it delivered to us if you wanted to. So we had some guys that went fishing this past week. They were from out of town. They needed some stuff, so they just ordered some Amazon stuff and had it delivered to our office. So we're always willing to work with you. All right. Josh is telling me I got to wrap this up. So one of these days we're just going to make this a 2-hour show.
It's only because Tony Barnes is expecting the supporter show at 8:50. So
yeah. All right. So we will wrap this thing up. I appreciate you guys being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. I appreciate you guys joining us every week. I hope to see you again next week. Remember, every Sunday night, 7:30 p.m. right here for our live stream show. And it's always a good time. So tell your friends, bring a friend next week. Make sure you tell everybody you know about our live stream show because they can win free fishing trips. And if you tell your friend to watch the show and then they win a free fishing trip for 2 people, who do you think they're going to bring? You, because you told them to watch. So tell your friends. It gives you more chances to win. Tell your family. So make sure you do your part and help spread the word. And don't forget to check out Hubbard's Marina on all the different social media channels. And let's go fishing this week. Weather is best tomorrow and Tuesday. Take advantage of that weather window. Let's get out there and go fishing. And don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. So it's 8:40. What time are you calling, Josh? 8:50 is going to be our supporters after show. If you're not in our supporters group, It's only $4.99 a month. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun. And so now that Josh said $8.50, I'm going to talk a little longer to make it harder for him. But definitely join us in our supporters after show. It's a good time. Eric Guerrera, appreciate those 300 stars. Suzanne Walters, Trika Leak, appreciate those stars as well. So thank you all for the stars tonight. Thank you for all those who are watching on TikTok, Trovo, and all that other stuff as well. So appreciate everybody. Let's see who won our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. 39-hour trip for one goes to Randall Russell from Parrish, Florida. Congratulations, Randall. You got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address. We will see you in the Supporters After Show at the Supporters Group. Become a member. It's only $4.99 a month. It's worth it. Really good time. So we'll see you in the Supporters After Show. We'll see everybody next week at 7:30 p.m. And don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy.